So this is a really quick tutorial on how to draw the nitrogen cycle as fast as possible. So say you were in an exam and you wanted to just sketch out this nitrogen cycle really quickly to help you know how to answer the exam question. This is what you do in the margin. So I have a line here because we've got most of the reactions taking place in the soil. We've got some plants here which contain nitrogen containing compounds, which of course in an exam you would refer to as protein or DNA or RNA or ATP even contains nitrogen. This can get eaten by a primary consumer, like a mouse, and inside its cells it also has nitrogen containing compounds like protein, DNA, RNA or ATP. And when they die or get left behind, bits get left behind, they become waste or dead matter, which I'm going to call detritus. So this is detritus. This represents the waste and the dead matter. And it's that, the proteins, DNA, RNA, ATP, the nitrogen containing compounds in the detritus that get broken down by saprobionts in the process of ammonification. So let's write down the stage, and then in brackets write down the microorganisms that are responsible for this. Okay, and what you end up with is some ammonium ions. And then next stage, the ammonium ions get oxidized into nitrites, which then get further oxidized into nitrates, and this stage is called nitrification. So let's write that down on top, and then in brackets underneath we'll write down the name of the bacteria that are responsible for that nitrifying bacteria. And of course then the nitrates are available for the plant to take up. Okay, so we can see there's that cycle, but there's a little bit more to add to this. The nitrates can be removed from the soil and converted into nitrogen gas, which is dissolved in the soil or escapes into the atmosphere. And this process is called denitrification. This is the process that farmers want to try and avoid because it's removing the nitrates from the soil, making them into nitrogen gas. This is carried out, we'll put that in brackets, by denitrifying bacteria. But then this nitrogen gas can be fixed into ammonium ions. This is nitrogen fixation, and the bacteria that are responsible for that are nitrogen fixing bacteria. And that is everything that happens in the soil, and the nitrogen gas can also be fixed, not by bacteria, into nitrates. This is nitrogen fixation, but this happens in the presence of lightning. There we go. Super fast nitrogen cycle. So I would recommend that you try to memorize this and try to sketch it out a few times from memory, so that if you're in an exam you can just go straight in and try to sketch it and use it to help you answer a question. Okay, so here is a question. Let's say that this question was one that you got in an exam. How can nitrogen contained in urine and feces be made available to crop plants? So you'll sketch your nitrogen cycle and you'll think, right, which bits of the nitrogen cycle are needed to answer this question? So there's our crop plant. There is the urine and the feces, that's the waste matter in the detritus. So we need to be able to describe this process, the ammonification process, because that's going to take the nitrogen containing compounds, the protein and the DNA and the RNA and so on, and convert them into ammonium ions. And then you'll need to also, because we're talking about making them available to crop plants, you'll need to talk about this bit. Yeah, So you need to talk about the nitrification stage, and then you can talk about the crop plants taking up the nitrates. So it's this bit, and this bit. So for this particular question, you don't need to talk about nitrogen fixation or denitrification.